I poked her with the neck of my soda bottle. But you already did it. You changed, you lied to me, you hid everything. As far as I understand, and this is what I understand, this means that there are no longer rules that I must obey. Nonsense. I don't care what you think. I did what I had to do to stay sane, to stay with the kids, and to try to regain some of the self-respect that you and that bastard stole from me. Take a deep breath and exhale through your nose. But damn, this is probably the last real conversation we'll have, so I'll play along. If our roles were reversed, if I was the one cheating, lying, hiding, and, key point, if you knew, but revealing that knowledge meant you had to live in poverty without children, what would you do? Would you feel even a little guilty if you had the chance to switch roles? She opened her mouth to speak. Don't even try to lie to me anymore. You didn't feel guilty enough to even admit what you did. Hell, you didn't even try to make my life easier by offering me a job after the betrayal. Half the letters between you and Ginny before you left her were about how to make sure that you don't get divorced, so that you don't lose your comfortable life with me. No, about how I can avoid losing you. Not the life we had, not the house, but you and the children. I looked at her coldly. Even now, she couldn't be honest. With me or myself or both, I'll never know. Whatever you need to tell yourself to get through this day. Another sip to collect my thoughts. Briefly speaking, the first woman. I won't name names unless it's necessary. You know Jenna, but I don't want you to fall into the trap of trying to ruin others' lives. The first one, let's call her Anna, was my employee in another office. Her husband cheated on her, so I trusted her. And on one of the trips, I not only trusted her, she suggested that I needed to have sports sex in order to regain my masculine strength. Or, whatever it is. And she turned out to be right. After that first time, I felt guilty, but not as much as I probably should have. Did this happen to you too? Doesn't matter. The question is rhetorical. Anna and I spent a few more nights together that week, but neither of us wanted it to develop into something serious. She was recently divorced, and for me, the point of this was to handle the situation well enough to stay with you until the children grew up. We broke up, sometimes met later when we were in the mood, but mostly we remained just friends. And then I was able to come home to you, truly back home. I still hated what you did, but now I had my own secrets and my own lies. A sarcastic grin for my also two-faced wife. It's exciting, isn't it? Know something your better half doesn't know? I have never looked at it like that. It's always been... I began to quote a particularly memorable letter. Ronnie, I feel so dirty hiding this from Kyle. It turns me on so much. I love him, but... Stop it! I already said it was a mistake. She sighed. I didn't feel that way after that. I felt... just dirty. Really dirty. Not excited, guilty. But not guilty enough, right? Not enough to admit it. You had an affair, and it was wonderful and hot, and the only reason you ended it was not because you felt guilty, but because he became too demanding, and even now you are trying to deceive me. I grinned. But that's all you are, isn't it? I slept with a dozen women, had an affair that lasted 2 years, and I still treated you and our family with more respect than you did me. Her mouth opened slightly, then she stammered, 2 years? Damn, her detective sucks. Until recently, I did everything possible to hide them from you. They were all out of town, all for a short period of time. I always used a condom, unlike you and that idiot. Never took time away from you and our family. You can't say that, can you? You postponed our dinner for our anniversary. One day you picked the kids up from school so late that they called me while I was out of town. And I later found out that in each case, it was so you could have sex with your boyfriend. And then I looked at our finances and discovered that periodically you withdrew cash. For what, Sam? Why did you do this while I was killing myself to provide for us? She was silent, sullenly. That's what I thought. I snatched the second envelope. Sam tried to stop me, but she was too slow. No need. As I flipped through the pages, she turned away. burying her head in the sand again, hoping that the problem would go away if she just didn't acknowledge it. Oh my God, Sam, you must have really hated me. Wow, 70-30? Are you getting a house? How much alimony? You're aiming high, I think. You cheated on me with this bitch for 2 years. I shrugged. You didn't know that. The thick pack fell onto the table with a crash. Nothing like this will happen to you. I also have evidence of your betrayal, even better than yours for that matter. What do you really have? A few photos that hint at sex but don't confirm it? And in general, this state is without guilt. I was so hurt when I found out about her. What you did. I wanted to hurt you too. Yes, I understand. She bowed her head. At first, I wanted to do the same. Over the years, I lost my temper every now and then. For example, I told Ronnie's wife about what you did with him. He is a serial cheater. And besides, a rapist. God, I haven't smoked for many years, but I wished I had a cigarette for this moment. That's why he's dead now. What? Sam's eyes widened and fear appeared in her expression. Calm down. I didn't kill him. You're not worth going to jail for this. According to his wife, he had a heart attack during sex with another married woman. It's strange that such a young guy died like that, especially since his wife was a nurse. But maybe that's why he died so young. Contraindications to medications are another thing. True, I didn't ask the former Mrs. Jenkins. We were too busy with other things. She looked at me again in horror, but I just smiled sweetly and took the glass. All in all, in the end, all I wanted was for you to tell me the truth. I wanted to believe that you were still the one who taught our daughter honesty. I wanted you to be the woman I fell in love with. I did my best to be loving to you, be warm. Do you remember? It still hurt, but I tried to put it aside. I tried to understand from your letters why you did what you did. And when I was able to deal with the pain in my own way, I tried to find a way to come back to us. Gave you so many opportunities to confess, so many chances to justify yourself. Do you remember how we lay in bed that night after, what's their name? That famous couple who broke up because one of them cheated. And I told you that if you ever cheat on me, I would rather find out about it from you than in any other way. I saw you thinking about it, and then you told me. Her voice was empty. I will never cheat on you because I love you too much. Yes, I turned away. When I went on business trips, this was the second time I cheated. She didn't answer. She didn't scream. So you're saying it's my fault? It was clear. This is exactly what I meant. She cheated. She lied. She betrayed not only me, but also the core value that we both considered the most important in marriage. Every time I gave her a chance, encouraged her to do it, almost begged her, she only buried herself deeper. And after that, I went and cheated. It was a stupid, self-destructive coping mechanism, but it was the only one I had. I tapped the envelope containing the photographs. This was your last chance. I didn't suddenly become stupid. Jenna and I could hide this from you indefinitely. I wanted you to find out. I was hoping. A tear rolled down my cheek. Apparently, I haven't cried everything about the destruction of our marriage yet. I was hoping that you would find out that you would meet with me, but would admit to what you did. Try to find a way back with me. Then I opened another envelope. But when did you see it? I realized that everything was over between us. I tried so hard to keep my love for you until I saw this envelope. Then I realized that either you were never the woman I thought I married, or you changed somewhere along the way. Either way, that woman left and won't come back. Her mouth opened, then closed again. Samantha didn't say anything. She could not deny that not only had she prepared the documents, but they would have been ruinous for me if some judge had not ridiculed them in court. And when they confronted her with complaints, she still lied. Lying became second nature to her, and probably to me too. I lied to myself about who my wife was until the very end. Sam looked at me as I stood up. I'll come back for my things later. My lawyer will contact you. The agreement will be fair. I don't want to send you to the poorhouse, Sam. For 15 years, you have been a good wife, and you are still a wonderful mother. I don't hate you anymore. I hated it for a while, but I sighed. Now I'm just sad. She nodded silently. Leaning down, I kissed the top of her head one last time. Goodbye, beauty. It's a pity. Everything could have been different. And then I left, and the sounds of sobbing were left behind as I closed the door of what was once my home. After that, I just drove for a while. I knew where I was going, but first I needed to be alone. I needed to grieve alone. Finally, I called the woman I could always rely on. It's funny how our relationship started so innocently. 4 years ago, I became Jenna's mentor. She was fresh out of college with an MBA, so new the ink was still wet, and with ambitions that would put captains of industry to shame. We met at a networking event, and I immediately knew she had plans to succeed. At first, I didn't consider her sexually. Well, no more than any other young, beautiful woman. Perhaps even less. I liked our friendship. Simple friendship. Jenna was grateful for my guidance, and I was proud of her success. Eventually, we became so close that I confided in her one night over dinner. She wanted to talk to me about a new contract she was considering, but I got distracted. Sam once again did not admit to what she had done when the opportunity presented itself, and I was thoughtful. When I told Jenna my story, she listened and comforted me. I was glad that there was someone with whom I could share the secret. A secret and even more. I've never had an emotional affair. The closest was with the first one, the one I called Anna when Sam talked about her. But even that was unsuccessful. Sometimes she offered a friendly shoulder to cry on, sometimes a very desirable sexual partner. There was no serious emotional involvement. Jenna is different. First of all, we have been friends for a long time. She lives in the same city as me. She and I could meet and did meet often, but I only meant friendship with her and not a sexual partner. Everything changed after her fiancé left her. We weren't intimate at the time, but after she had been healing for a few months, Jenna and I had a drink and then went to bed. It turned out that we matched each other in almost every way. Despite this, I still had one child at home, and I did not lose hope that Sam would confess when we were left alone in an empty nest. Besides, Jenna is young enough that leaving my wife for her would undoubtedly set tongues wagging. Therefore, we kept within the limits of everyday life. We were something more than friends, and something less than constant lovers. I certainly wasn't exclusive with her, and I didn't expect her to be that way with me. We just agreed that she would let me know if she was busy. No details required. I was sure that she would soon find a young man to marry. But Jenna never found it. Instead, we continued to negotiate, and when it became clear that Samantha had only one chance left to confess, to make my infidelities so blatant that even a blind woman could see them, Jenna completely agreed to her role in this venture of mine. Hell, she did almost everything to make it clear that we were having an affair. The memory of her generally brought a smile to my face. I doubted that our romance would end simply because he was no longer adulterous, but eventually some guy her age would hook her anyway. She deserves such happiness. But for now, I was going to enjoy her company as much as I could. She answered the phone on the third ring. "Jenna's apartment," says the homeless tramp. I snorted. Mission complete. She found out. "Is it true?" "It only took her 6 months." I said quietly. She was waiting for me with divorce papers. Her tone changed from playful to sympathetic. "Oh, Kyle, baby, how are you?" "Actually, it sucks. Are you busy today?" "No, absolutely not. Come." "Thank you." When I showed up at her door with my suitcases in hand, Jenna hugged me tightly and then led me inside and held my hands while I told her everything that had happened. When I finished, she said, "I'm so sorry, baby." "Well, that is..." She sighed. "I'm sorry that she hurt you and that she couldn't just tell you the truth. But, look, I'll be honest, okay? I'm glad you're divorcing her." "Yes?" "Yes." Jenna kissed me with a gentle, sweet kiss. "I'm glad that everything has already been decided. Now you know." And she bit her lip. "Now you can move on with your life." Her hand stroked my cheek. Maybe with me." "What? Seriously? Jenna, I'm almost twice your age and..." Another kiss, stronger. "But you're not twice my age." "Not really." "Older?" "Yes. But I'm a grown woman, Kyle, and I know what and who I want." I said mockingly, "Jenna, stop it. I know you have young guys queuing up to..." "I haven't seen anyone but you for almost a year, Kyle. I didn't need anyone, and I didn't want anyone for that matter. She suddenly leaned on me, her hard body pressed against mine. I'm not asking you to decide today, baby. Take as much time as you need. I have been waiting for you for a whole year. I will wait longer if necessary. Looking into those gorgeous blue eyes, I couldn't help but ask, why didn't you say anything? Her lips touched mine. Because I didn't want to force you to choose between me and her. You've been trying for years to get her to admit the truth. I was sure that she would not do this and decided to wait. If she miraculously confessed, I didn't want you to feel guilty before me. And if not... She kissed my neck and I felt that I was starting to get excited. Smiling, she said, Well, I decided that you are first in line. Jenna, shh, baby, I do not hurry. I'm happy with what we have now. Yes, I want more, but we can go as fast or as slow as you want. I'll be there, okay? She pulled back to look into my eyes again. I will be yours when you are ready. If only you'll be mine too. I opened my mouth to object, but then I thought, why am I resisting? Jenna is wonderful. Yes, there is an age difference, but she is not a girl fresh out of college. She is closer to 30 than 25. And she and I are closer in character, goals, and views than Sam and I. Studying Jenna's face, I realized that I was looking at her in a new way. Not as my ward, not as a friend, not as a lover, but as all of this at once and even more. She didn't directly say the L word, but in all her actions, in all the long conversations, leisurely lunches, and evenings spent with her in and out of bed, love was felt. I thought about the time we spent together and the time I regretted wasting trying to save a dead marriage. This was the beginning of my second act, and my main character would be Jenna. I also want this. Her eyes lit up. Is it true? Her question was answered with a kiss. A long, slow kiss between two lovers that could become something more permanent. This will happen when the time comes when all the debris has been removed. But then the kiss turned into something more familiar, into a passionate embrace between two people who knew each other's bodies thoroughly, but never tired of exploring them. Jenna pulled away briefly to stand and take my hand, eagerly leading me to her bedroom. Our bedroom. We'll talk about this later. I had not been with her for several weeks, and we were both acutely aware of our shared, barely restrained desire. But even more than that, we needed to confirm everything we had just talked about, and nothing could stop us from doing this. By the time we undressed each other, our clothes were a complete mess, with torn buttons and torn seams. But we didn't care. We made love, giving each other pleasure. She was great, reckless, mine. Jenna's whimpers and moans slowly turned into a low, high-pitched howl. Her eyes settled on mine. Yes, there was undoubtedly love in them. How long has she been there? How long did I not notice this? Did I not respond to the desperate desire to speak out about our come-on connection? Too long. No more. I love you, Jenna. Reach the peak of bliss for me. Good girl. Jenna was overcome with sudden paralysis. All movement stopped. Her eyes became wet, her breath caught in her throat, and then my love reached sweet peaks when her body was overcome by a climax. God. I love you, Kyle. I love you so much. She trembled and gasped as I held her close, watching her again as she watched me. Her head turned towards me, and tears flowed onto the pillow. Are you serious? Is it true? Yes, Jenna. Yes, it's true. I don't know. I sighed. I don't know what will happen next. With me, my life, my children, hell, even where I will live. Here. I vote here. But no matter what happens, I want you to be by my side. You've been here before, and I need to respect that, to be honest about what it meant to me, what it means to me now. What do you mean to me? I kissed her tenderly. I love you, Jenna. It's true. We lay together for a while, nestled in each other's warm arms. Under other circumstances, perhaps we would have been lying there. But I was excited again. And Jenna, stroking my face with one hand, gently asked, "Will you make love to me? we took possession of each other again. As our movements became more urgent, more frantic, as they moved from gentle lovemaking to a rapid breakthrough of need and desire, we ourselves changed. Jenna no longer had to worry about leaving marks on me, and at the peak of ecstasy, with another loud, low moan, she marked her territory with scratches on my back and love bites on my neck. Now I belonged to her, and only her, and she left no doubt about it. At the moment when I followed her to the finish line, Jenna slyly whispered in my ear, "I am your good girl, yours, I love you." Her bedroom actually became our bedroom, at least for a few weeks. In the end, we both agreed that it made sense for us to live separately until things worked out. Jenna and I still end up in each other's bed almost every night, but having separate addresses until the nitty-gritty of the divorce was worked out was the smartest thing to do. And, oh God, there were so many unpleasant moments. First of all, children. They weren't happy with Sam or me. Their mom spoke to them first, and while she didn't completely blame me for the breakup, she was, let's say, selective in providing information. I received scolding from both Matt and Riley, but my kids calmed down a little, at least towards me, once I gave them all the context they needed, although for different reasons. Matt had a baby on the way and understood why I stayed with her for a long time, especially when I explained the consequences it had. When he learned that divorce would mean virtually no time for him and Riley and how close we were to poverty without even trying to run 2 households, he began to understand. And when I explained to him what impotent rage and crushing sadness my reluctant consent had generated, he became even more responsive. Matt still wasn't happy, but he accepted it. Riley was furious when she learned the truth. She really took to heart the lessons we were trying to teach her about honesty and responsibility, and after learning about everything her mom had done, she felt very strongly against Samantha. It wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want their relationship with either of us to suffer, if only for the sake of the kids. But it was much better than her being mad at me. To some extent, she was still angry, but my daughter placed the main blame for our divorce on my wife's shoulders. Next came the divorce itself. When the division of property began, it seemed that everything would be amicable, but this did not last long. Sam fought to keep the house. I offered to buy it back for her, but she couldn't afford it. After she released me, Samantha demanded an increase in child support. And then disputes began about the division of property, pensions, and so on. She spent so much money on our lawyers and still got basically the same share that I originally offered. True, now her share has become smaller because the entire P has shrunk. Jenna's place in my life was not as complicated as I expected. Neither Matt nor Riley were happy about me dating someone not much older than them, but that wasn't the main point of contention. Their mother tried to convince them from the very beginning that Jenna stole me from my wife. Even after I convinced them that this was not true, this thought stuck with them on a subconscious level. It wasn't until after we got married, and especially after we signed an ironclad prenuptial agreement at Jenna's insistence, that they finally accepted her as my partner. Yes, our wedding. When the division of property was completed, almost a year later, thanks to my ex-wife's desperate attempts to maintain her normal lifestyle, I bought a smaller house, and Jenna moved in with me. It was bliss. Honestly, it never stopped being blissful, and within a year, we were married. Like any couple, we have our problems. Some of them are standard, such as dividing responsibilities between 2 hardworking people who are very tired at the end of the day. Some are unique to relationships with significant age gaps. But when it came down to it, we were committed to each other and our future, and to our children. Initially, only Jenna wanted children. My wife knew how to be persuasive when she wanted to. She was about 30, and I was about 50, but she claimed that I was as healthy as a horse. Frankly, after playing with my grandchildren, I began to miss the patter of little feet around the house. A few years after we got married, Jenna stopped taking the pill, and after Dylan and Zoe were born, I had a vasectomy. Twins. Yes, we didn't sleep for a while. It was surreal to see my grandchildren and my 2 youngest children growing up together. True, I would like to be a little more active for their sake. Health is one thing, youth is another. But we are a happy family, and this is the most important thing. Samantha was surprisingly optimistic the first time we were together at an event after my wedding to Jenna. It was Riley's wedding. Our daughter was marrying a great guy, and we were both happy with her groom. Sam had finally come to terms with her role in the failure of our marriage, and as time went on, our feelings for each other consisted mainly of liking the people we were in our youth and recognizing each other as parents. We even danced together, while Jenna chatted with my ex-wife's boyfriend. Sam smiled at me. "You look very happy, Kyle." This is true. Very. There was a hint of sadness in her eyes. Happier than you were with me. It was not a question. A sympathetic smile was all I had left to soften the blow. In the end, yes. I really ruined everything, didn't I? We both made mistakes, Sam. I could have handled the situation better, too. I was so fixated on you confessing yourself. Maybe if... I shook my head. Don't know. It doesn't matter now. No, probably not. But still. She wiped away a lone tear. I'm glad we had the time we spent together. I will always treasure it. Me too. And we have wonderful children. Samantha smiled widely and radiantly. For a moment, I saw in her the woman I loved so much. This woman, the young wife and mother whom I adored, will always have a piece of my heart. Yes, that is right. Is it true? The music has ended. My first true love stood on her tiptoes and kissed me on the cheek and then walked hand in hand with me to my greatest love. As I took Jenna's hand and led her to the dance floor, my ex-wife said, "I'm very happy for both of you." Perhaps she was telling the truth. Perhaps not. It didn't matter because as my wife and I slowly danced, looking into each other's eyes, I could honestly say I had never been happier. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.